Fadwa, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on this show, The Purpose-Driven Person. We're going to be talking about some things. But before we get started, I just want to get to know you, to have the listeners get to know where you came from and what you do and all that. I always like to start out with the guests just kind of introducing themselves. So give us a little background, because I know where I'm going to go with it is health and nutrition. And we're going to be talking about what you're doing now in your life. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Colombia, in South America, and I lived there until I was about 12 years old. After that, our family decided to move to Panama for political reasons, and we were there until I was about 18 years old. And then we moved to Utah. I was the first one to come to Utah, though. I came by myself.
Now, you came to Utah. You were were you a teenager at the time, or how old were you?
I was 18 years old. I have finished high school. I have already done 1 year of university. I was in the architecture college. And actually, I wanted to go to Paris. I have always loved France. And I used to speak French then. I really wanted to go there. I had my visa, I had everything worked out. But at the time, there was a political problem with Panama and Manuel Antonio Noriega. So my dad asked me to come to Utah instead of going to Paris because we have friends here in Utah. My father had been here about a year earlier. My sister had been here for a summer years earlier. So he said, I'd rather you go to Utah where we know people and I know that you'll be safe than go to Paris as an exchange student. And, I'd rather you go somewhere closer. So I ended up coming to Utah instead of Paris. So that was my exchange.
Well, all this journey, was it an easy journey to get all the way to this point, or did you have some ups and downs, or?
Well, I had a wonderful father that believed on protecting my innocence as a child.
Great.
So during this whole time, I never knew that he was actually protecting us, to be honest with you. I came to find out that my life, my parents, and my siblings' life has been in danger for years and years and years until I came to the United States. But I never knew that until I was about 20 or so. So it was an easy journey. I had a happy childhood, a great teenager life. I tell my children I was an adolescent, not a teenager. I believe a teenager is an excuse to be goofy, and to me, an adolescence is between childhood and adulthood, and is how to become mature. So I always tell my children to be adolescents, not teenagers. So anyway, I had a wonderful adolescence life, and so no, my life has always been wonderful. So it wasn't really a hard journey to come to the United States at all. I came as a tourist.
So you were saying that your father protected you guys. Was he? How did he do that? Was he part of your life, or did he send you over here to do that, or?
No, he has always been part of my life. He's my greatest hero. I love my dad with all my heart. And he just protected us by withholding a lot of information. And it's funny that you asked me that, because even this morning I was thinking about it. I was thinking, I am 50 years old now, and I still don't know many things that he took with him, because he always told me, the less that you know, the better off that you are. So he was a politician, and he had to leave our country because of that. So I know a little bit about it, but that's about it. So He just protected us by not giving us enough information so that we wouldn't know everything, the reasons why we needed to come to the United States.
Well, this journey, it led you all the way to the United States, to all the places, Utah. And you spent a lot of time in Utah. Did you do some college there? Did you do any higher education?
Yes, I'm an accountant. So I do have a bachelor's in science on business accounting. And prior to coming to the United States, I was already in college. I had 1 year of architectural school at the University of Panama. So school education is very, very important part of my life. In high school, I graduated in the very top 3 of high school. So I was a valedictorian, although I was not able to have the honor because I wasn't a Panamanian citizen. But education, learning in a school, are like candies to me. I love to study.
You're like, give me more.
Bad thing, but I do.
No, that's good. I mean, studying is important. So one of your values, I've known you for a while. I mean, learning is a big thing for you,
Yes.
education and knowledge, and you took this accounting degree. And I wanted this, the reason I love interviewing people that have this drive of having purpose. Now, purpose for you, as you're doing all this journey, where did you think you discovered your purpose or your passion in life? Or was it through this journey into accounting school, or did you find it after?
That's a good question. Um, I think inside of me, I have always have a passion for life, for learning, and for health. Because as a child, all of my Christmas and birthday presents were doctor's instruments. I wanted to become a doctor, and I still do. I was talking with my children last week, my adult children, most of them, and I told them that if I could, I would, because I still go to a hospital and I love being there, seeing the doctors, and hoping that I have become one. So that passion almost was born with me. I remember being 10 and saying I will become a doctor. So ever since then, it's something that I have always loved life, always loved learning, and always loved health. So those are 3 things that it seems to me, if I try to think back, are from childhood times. So they're very, very, very core of my being and my personality.
Wow, I didn't know that part of you, that you wanted to be a doctor. So that's a
Yes.
big thing. So that tells me why you're where you're now in your career. I mean, you and your husband have built several businesses, both a real estate, but also other businesses. And then now some of your focus is into health and wellness. You're doing a lot of stuff with a company called the Terra, and their oils and essential oils and stuff. And it's really an interesting journey. Can you tell us a little about this journey from owning a brick and mortar to going into the health? It sounds like you're kind of fulfilling your being a doctor through this company.
That is so true. So, so I have to make a disclosure that I decided not to become a doctor because, and this my children know, my husband knows. One day back in Colombia, when I was visiting my home country, someone knocked at the door and they were selling books. I remember being a young man that was very handsome. I was 17 or 18, and I thought, whoa, he's cute. And we started talking. He was selling encyclopedias. And in it, the conversation came that he says, why do you want to become a doctor? And I told him why. But then he said, how can you be a doctor and a mother?
Mm.
And for whatever reason, that stuck with me. And after a bit, I thought, you know what? I cannot do both.
Yep.
And again, my passion had been life learning and health, but I decided I wanted to be a mother more than I wanted to be a doctor. And I'm one that when I want to do something, I want to do 100% or better. So I decided I could not be 100% of a doctor if I wanted to be 100% of my mother. And motherhood was so much more important to me. So that's why that passion of going to medical school did not go through, but I still love it. And so with that in mind, how did I find myself in the health industry is a very interesting journey because my husband and I have various business. One has been in business for about
Long
52
time.
years,
Yeah.
which is House of Drapery and Blinds. And then there is the real estate business that we have had for about 20 years. But about 3 years ago, my daughter, Nadia Christine, who is a songwriter, she received an email from someone saying that they were interested in her doing a song for a company that was a healthcare company that needed a new son for their foundation that is called Healing Hands Foundation. She was a little bit concerned about it. Oh, Matt, sorry, can you give me 1 second?
Yeah, hold on, I'll pause it. Go.
So someone emailed her and asked her that they needed a new song for the Healing Hands Foundation. She wasn't quite sure about an email just coming so random. So she asked me, Mom, can you go on to this meeting with me? So I went to the meeting. I said, let's meet somewhere that is public. So she chose the Starbucks in Orem. And we went to a meeting. I went a little early because I wanted to kind of look at the person before we started the meeting. When I was there about 10 minutes early, when this gentleman walked in, I just knew that was him. I thought, you just get that hint that, oh, this is the person my daughter is having a meeting with. And then when my daughter, Nadia Christine, walked in, he approached and said, you're Nadia? And she's like, yeah. And then they started talking, and then I came to a conversation. So anyway, you know the person, that's Kenny, who had reached out to Nadia to see if she can write a song for the Healing Hands Foundation. We sat down, we talked. He mentioned how he has been with doTERRA for about 5+ years at the time, and how he knows all the 8 founders very well, that he used to work with them on a consulting basis and gone all over the world to do consulting basis for them, and how they were looking for a new son for the Healing Hand Foundation project. And when he stumbled into Nadia's YouTube, he wanted to see if Nadia will be interested to do so.
Wow.
After the conversation, I mean, we went on for about an hour over a hot chocolate. He also said, this is a great business. When he found out I was from Colombia, says, and they're going to be opening Colombia not too long ago. Would you be interested? He told me a little bit about the business. I said, maybe. He says, well, why don't I invite you to my house to come on? I said, let me talk to my husband. But when I talked to him, there was something about it. I just kind of thought, maybe it is something that I'm interested about it. So then I came home and I told Mark about it, my husband, and he's like, not sure. But there was something that felt good. Seriously, it was just that, because we have been offered different type of business like that many, many times in our past 20+ years of marriage. So finally, Mark says, yeah, there's something that sounds good. Let's meet with him. So we went to Kenny's house. Alarm is going. I hope you can hear me.
Oh, I can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. So we went to his house and met him and his wife, Rebecca. And Nadia also came with us. We find out that his wife was Miss Provo. Nadia has been first attender to Miss South Jordan, so we had a great conversation there. Wow. Anyway, we started talking about what was doTERRA, what doTERRA stand for, and it was a very good conversation. I mean, we were there again for about an hour. We never talk about money. We talk about how this company has a purpose to make sure that people are empowered with their own health and have better health and better themselves. And I like that because, again, one of my passion was, and it still is, to be a doctor. Yep. And this is what, I guess this is the hit that hit the nail on the right place. When I came to the United States, when I was 18, I did a lot of things but married my husband by the time I was 23, but knew him for years. One of the things I had a hard time with was that every time we had a physical ailment, headache, stomachache, or anything like that, he would say, well, take this or take that, or A or B or C. And it would bother me because I grew up with a mom that if I had a tummy ache, she would go and make a cinnamon tea. She would boil our water, put cinnamon, and then give me cinnamon tea, and then I'll feel better. If I have a headache, she will go outside, pick up some peppermint leaves, make a tea. We used to call it aromatic waters. We don't call them teas back there. And that's what I will have. And I can go on and on about the different herbal medications that I received as a child all of my life. And yeah, when I came to the US, I can never find that. So when Kenny gave me the option to know about this manner or this company that was empowering people's health, I was like, I want to know more, finally. Because I was like, I have been looking for something like this for so many years. So there began another journey of our lives.
So this is crazy because, at this time you guys were doing pretty well with your other businesses. So that's, you'd shared that with me. It's like, I'm not really interested until that spark had hit or that connection occurred. And so as this journey continue to happen, can you speak on just, sometimes when people get into things like this, because they don't, like you said, you guys got approached many times on different businesses because people would find out that you guys were business owners, that you were a numbers person, and they would say, hey, you'd make a good person for this, and it just never felt right, right? Yes. And this just kind of lined up, and as you then started this journey, how's it been? Because I'm purpose driven. Doesn't matter what people do. What drives people is they have to connect to it, because you can do anything and not be happy. I had the other day I was interviewing a doctor, and he was an ER doctor, and he said he was miserable, but then he finally figured out psychiatry. And he just fell in love with the psychiatry side, and that's what he does now. He's a psychiatrist. And so you now are hitting this. I mean, you loved your businesses, but what I can tell you light up when you talk about this. What's the difference with this?
Well, honestly, Matt, I think I have been greatly blessed because all 5 businesses that we have done, I have a passion for. I really, really do.
So you have passion for business, or?
I have passion for the specific businesses that we are involved in.
Perfect.
Like with House of Drapery and Blinds, we have been blessed to go all over the world and make beautiful, beautiful drapes for buildings that are special to us. So that is something that's my husband's passion and dream. And I love sharing that with him because I get to go with him and I get to be part of it as an accountant because I help him on that. On the real estate business, I love there's something about making a deal. If I can buy something for less and then sell it for more, or if I can rent it. I love rentals. There's something about that. With the horses, I love when my daughter wins. And we just got our first baby colt. Good. We have been breeding for 4 years and can never happen. I mean, we have a mare that has 30 national champions, and we finally got a baby colt. And yeah, he is gorgeous. He's less than 3 weeks old, and we love it. And then we started a business with my musician daughter. I love when I go to all of her music videos and this and that. So I feel that I have been very blessed. I have a son that's a pilot. I love to watch him fly. And I even went on a flight with him. And although I was scared to death because he started to go the ups and downs in the air with me, I love it.
Mom. Yeah.
Yes, and I love being a soccer mom. So I kind of feel that I am blessed because I have been given a life where not only businesses, but other things that my children's dreams are things that I love. Now, the reason why I love doTERRA and is passionate about it is because I can help people with a passion that I had as a child to be a doctor. And now I can help people how to take care of their health by them being empowered themselves, by then learning how these oils that are 100% pure, just like the herbs. When I was a child, I mean, my mom would just go outside and pick up a plant and just make me an aromatic water or a tea that most people will call for whatever ailment I was having. So that's why doTERRA is like, whoa, because it's a new discovery. It's my new baby, like the baby cold is 3 weeks old. doTERRA is like the baby business.
Baby business until it becomes a big one.
Yes, yes,
So
but you're right. You have to have a connection. And that's why I talk about all the others, because I have connection with all the others. I love interior decorating. I love real estate. I love horses. I love music. I love flying. I love soccer. You do have to be a connection. And you don't have to have a connection to one thing. You can have a connection to many things,
yes,
but there is a time and a place for everything.
everything.
Like the way I divide my weeks are so I can actually be 100% good in every single one of those and still enjoy and have a connection with all of them.
And you hit a good principle that I teach. It's the 4 C's. I have a philosophy. It's called creation, communication, connection, and collaboration. These are the areas in purpose-driven person is like you said it, in all these businesses you connected to them. It was your purpose. Now the big thing is everybody wants to probably know, you're a mom, you're running all these businesses. Was there struggle in doing all these things? Did you have ups and downs? Did you have trials a little bit as you were building them?
Oh, yes. Our family has not been spared of tragedies
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of up and downs. There is a lot of depression. There has been suicidals in our family. So, no. Have we have up and downs? Oh, yes. And I think the secret is balance.
There
You
you go.
have to balance your life. And I feel that that was a gift. I'm a very religious person, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that was a gift I was given before I came to this earth. Because somehow, some way, it's something that comes easy to me to be able to take many tasks and balance them out and know when to give here or there, but always keeping my priorities straight. And in my case, motherhood, being a wife are my priorities. My religion is a priority. And yeah, this business can be wonderful, but they are priorities. So I think for my secret in life has been balance, learning to find a balance so that you can do all things, even among tragedies, even among sad things, you can accomplish all if you learn how to balance your life well.
So you hit a good concept of balancing. This is the reason I've done this podcast is how do owners or business people create a balance between life and business? Because that is the key here is purpose-driven people. And what I try to do with this is you can own something, you can be successful, but if you're out of balance, it's like trying to drive a car with 2 flat tires, right? I can be
Yes.
very successful at the office, but not so successful at home. So, what would be your advice to people that are driving their purpose that want to do it? How did you balance? What's the secret to that?
This is not my saying, and I'm trying to remember her last name, but her first name is Belinda.
Okay.
Belinda was someone that was assigned to do a certain ministering in my church. And I was a young mother, and I was a little frustrated at the time because there were all these women that were so crafty and they will make the dresses for their daughters, they will make their homemade pastas. And I was like, my goodness, how do they find time to do all that? I barely can get out of changing diapers and cooking dinners or lunches. And it was one day we were out doing visits and I expressed about that amount of stress to her. And she taught me the best principle I will give credit to. And that was, she says, Fadwa, there's a time and a season for all things. And then she says, when there's a springtime, you're everything's starting new. You're having babies. When there's summertime, you're enjoying the flowers. You're enjoying your children's dreams. Then there comes fall. You start enjoying your grandchildren and things are starting to slow down. And then comes winter when you're an older person. And I literally have taken that. So to me, it has been understanding there is a time and a season for all things. Pause for a second, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And go.
So there is a time and a season for all things, and I really think that's important. Somebody else taught me some the analogy, but the analogy was there is a large play, a small play, and a soup play. And you just need to make sure that you don't overflow your plates. And the way that I have guided my life is that I have honestly tried to put my children, my husband and my children as the priorities. And I feel that whenever I put them first, everything else falls right. I mean, I was the kind of mom that will sit down and try to, I don't want to put myself down like I'm super good. No, but I will sit down and do homework with them and try to make sure that they did their homework. I joy in a school in any way, so I love education. So that was something I wanted to do. But I always tried to make sure they were my priority and they make time for everything else around them. And I think that's, for whatever reason, that has worked for me because, but I do want to say something. When there were children and when I was changing diapers and all of that, I wasn't as involved in businesses.
Yep.
Were we doing the interior design business? Yes. And I will go to the office 2 or 3 times a week, part-time. Were we doing the real estate? Yes, but very small. Now all of my children are older. I have from a 25 to a 17. So now it's different. Now I can put a lot more emphasis in business because my children have grown up. But I still have a daughter that is very, very competitive, plays competitive soccer. I go to all of her soccer games. Once in a while, I may not be able to go for A or B reason. I still have a daughter in horses, my son. So I always try to make that a priority. And I think when you try to make that a priority, I hope my children will remember that, will try to apply that in their lives. But I do believe that's the secret to success. Time, and there's a time and a season, balance, and really understanding your priorities. And wait for the right time, because a lot of people wants to be where I'm at when they are a young mother, and that's not going to happen. You kind of have to wait for the right time.
And I like that you're using time because time is, I always learned working with kids and families is, little kids, even teenagers, 17-year-olds, they don't spell love Love, they spell it Time, right? You've heard that saying is they want that time. And this is what I used to tell parents, and I've been around your children, and you've done an amazing job because you've invested that time. So if we use a business term, the ROI, the return on your investment, is really interesting because I tell parents this: the more time you spend when they're little, the bigger return you get when they're older. And there's some cases, and God bless all of them, is there's some cases you can spend a lot of time and be a really good parent. And we know a lot of good stories in our religion about that, is you can still have a wayward child, right? They can still go a different direction. And so I think time is huge. Now, going back to this concept, because you hit it on the head, and I love what you're saying right now, because this is my belief in business. I've been a business owner. It can suck up your time if you let it. And some people really get driven in, and I've been guilty of that, where my business consumes me and that balance starts unbalancing. So what are some things, and especially this time right now, Fadwa, we're in a really crazy time right now. In all the years we've lived, and I'm at 42 years old, and I've seen in the 70s, I was born in the 78s, and all throughout the year, we've never thought we'd see a pandemic during our time, right? And so what are some things you're doing with all your stuff, with your businesses, especially doTERRA, to help families? What are some advice for people in this pandemic right now?
Well, one of the things is to really enjoy the time. I personally have not felt the pandemic as other people may have felt it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel a little guilty of that, just because most of what I do, I'm still doing it. Because, for instance, the doTERRA business is something I do like this via Zoom, or calling people or talking to people. So for that, and same with my real estate. So I hear all these people that are very bored, that has so much time in their hands, this and that, and I feel like, well, it has not make a difference to me. The only difference is not being able to go out on Fridays with my husband.
Yep. Date night.
Because it's like, oh, we can go, and even he's like, oh, and we love. That's one thing we have done all of our lives. Married life is to go out together once a week, sometimes twice a week, but Friday or Saturday nights are very sacred to us. So that's what I have felt. So the pandemic has a different taste for me because I'm kind of still living a very normal life. The difference is that my daughter is home instead of going to school. So two things I wanted to say is, one, finding that balance. Even today, I was working here in the same couch that I'm talking to you, and she was in the other couch next to it, and she was trying to do her homework, but then she started talking to me, and I was still typing the computer, and I had to mentally tell myself, stop, look at her.
Yep.
So you kind of have to train yourself, because I had to put my hands down and then look at her and see what she was saying, instead of just listening to her while I keep typing whatever I was emailing, or I don't even recall what I was doing. So that is one thing that you kind of have to train yourself to do. I don't know, there's something she noticed, but it's something that I do notice. So what have I done with the doTERRA in regards to a pandemic? I do have a lot of people that are having anxiety and depression issues. And I'm so very grateful for the new adaptive app that doTERRA just launched last week.
I use it.
Amazing. I have it on my phone. I mean, the meditation sessions and just the adapted itself. My husband is taking them. I gave some to my daughter, my oldest daughter, Nadia Christine. I gave some to my daughter, Najila, to put in her room. I mean, it's just so good. But the app itself, even if you're not dealing with anxiety or depression or nothing, it just learning how to take care of yourself is important. So I have been trying to inform a lot of people.
Good.
So I'm using this pandemic time to say, hey, there is items, not only apps, but oils that will help you. My son actually had to be in quarantine for a week because in his employment, somebody tested positive, and we were very, very strict about him being in quarantine. And I gave him some On Guard pills to take, which is the On Guard pearls, because On Guard helps with the immune system. The antioxidants are increased. So I gave that to him in case that he was fighting the virus. He's only 20, so even if he was around it, even if he was contagious, it could be very easy fat because of the age. I also asked him to diffuse On Guard. So I did that with him during that whole week. Now that he went back to work, I gave him an On Guard pearls and asked him to please take 2 in the morning, 2 a day. I diffuse every single day. My house, you'll have On Guard diffusing. I have On Guard pearls, On Guard candies, everything On Guard. In our business, our interior design business, House of Drapery, every office has an On Guard diffuser. And even the few customers that do decide to come in, they're like, oh, it smells good. We're like, yes, we're trying to keep, we're Cloroxing everything as requested. We're wearing the mask, we're using gloves. We used to have a little container where we always have candies. Mm-hmm. And about 2 weeks ago, one of our installers came to the office and went to eat a candy. And he's like, oh, you don't have candies. You have gloves? Because instead of putting candies, we're putting gloves there, But he thought it was funny. But I thought, hey, if you don't have gloves, grab some of it. But anyway, so I'm using a lot of the products in our business with our children to ensure that it will help us and protect us from this virus. I do have to be in full disclosure because this is what doTERRA is asking us. I'm not saying that On Guard cures the virus or COVID-19, but I'm saying that it helps with our antioxidants in our bodies, and therefore we're diffusing it and we're taking it in order to make sure that we are as protected as possible from it.
Yeah, and the research has shown is increasing your immunity system is going to help you fight it. It's like the flu, it's anything is if you can do anything to help your body, give that little extra boost. That's what you want to do, and that's what the On Guard stuff does. And it's been great to have you on the show, and I'm excited with all this stuff because it's great to hear your drive as an individual to really meet that philosophy of driving your purpose. Now, one thing I have is I always ask this at the end of the show is reading and studying important to keep your purpose going, to keep driving? Do you do that on a regular basis where you study and read?
Yes, I read every day for minimum 1 hour a day.
See, that's huge.
And
Okay.
yeah, it's part of my self-care that I have to read every day. There are certain things that I read in order to take care of myself. Learning is a total important. I don't care where you are in life. Even last week, I found a subject that I was interested in, and I took one morning and for 5 hours, I researched on that subject.
That's amazing.
So I absolutely am a believer of reading in order to learn more, and I'm a believer on higher education, always obtaining as much education as you can, no matter where you're at in life.
Awesome. Well, Fadwa, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Now, how can they reach you? Where can they find you? Can they find you on Facebook? Where can people find you?
Yes, I am in Facebook, Fadwa Terra. Also Instagram, Fadwa Terra. That's F as in Frank, A, D, W, A, T as in tomato, E, R, R, A. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And they can always call me if they want, 801-440-1709.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And we look forward to having you on the show again.
Sounds great. Thanks, Matt. Good talking to you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.